Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. That's Coach Dub. That's Justin Wells. Thank you all for watching. We're going to talk 2027 recruiting, the main players to watch in July for the Texas Longhorns, and we're going to get into some 2028 names that you need to know. You know about them if you're at Inside Texas already. So go join Inside Texas. Join for just $1. Get 50% off your first year. You can do that by using that first link in our description or by using that QR code at the top left of the screen. Justin, here we are in July 7th. Texas has, basically most of the class locked up. You look at the 2027, the top 50 players, there are only 3 who have not yet committed. And I think if you look at the top 400, which basically means every 4 and 5 star, 28 are not committed. 28 out of 400. So that means a lot of players have taken their spots, grabbed their commitments. Of course, there's going to be intrigue. We're tracking Easton Royal. Teams are tracking Jalen Brewster. We're tracking a lot of different guys. But the uncommitted guys, the 2 top ones or 2 of the 3 top ones, we're still trying to figure those out. Looking very good for Texas as we get through the first quarter of July. What's going on with Monshun's sales as we continue to see if Texas can pull in probably the best wide receiver class it's pulled in under Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, so Texas wants both of them, and they're shooting the dice for both of them. And there's going to be there's a probability they could get both. There's a probability they split the baby, and there's a chance they may go over 2. And so that's what makes 2027 recruiting stay on your toes. Just when you think this cycle is almost wrapped up, when you think this coaches kind of have all their guys, all their ducks in a row, more chaos. But that's just fun. We got 5 more months. And really, in the last few years, we've seen a buildup of kids getting their spots in June and July. I just can't remember so many doing it. Like, I feel like it's just been an abundance this year. But it starts with Monshun Sales, top wide receiver target. Chris Jackson in Texas spoke to him on, what's today, Tuesday, Sunday night for a little over an hour. They had a really good conversation. They've been having those on a regular basis. Source told me that Chris Jackson and Sales continue to get closer. It's a genuine thing there. It's an authentic thing. Texas really asserted themselves in this recruitment, and they did it kind of late. Well, not kind of late. They did it really late, but it was enough to really – that OV shook the Sales team. At this point, I think he would have already been committed to Indiana if Texas wasn't in this. Texas is the reason Indiana's sweating, which I don't know if Kirk Cignetti even sweats, but in summary, Texas and Monshun Sales are in a great spot, but there's still some stuff to be fixed. And honestly, I don't think Sales knows where he's going as of today.
Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick with Sales. And this kind of the question, does Indiana still lead, but not by much?
Man, if I had to put percentages on it, could I go, 51-49? I don't know.
There you go. Poquito.
Yeah, Texas has done a really, really good job making up ground in this recruitment, much like in a short time span, more than like Meredith. Meredith, he came from behind, out of nowhere. Like Sales came out of nowhere. And now Texas is right there in the mix of things, close to Atlanta's recruitment. So I'll go 51-49 Indiana at this point.
Other 2027 to track, Landon Williams-Callis, Richmond Randall running back. This one's another one where Coach, it seems like Texas, again, similar to the Meredith recruitment. They were behind for much of the spring, but Jabbar Jalouk has put the Longhorns in a strong spot, especially compared to what seems to be the real competition now in SMU.
Yeah, look, I remember talking to LWC at the state championship game. He was like, Texas who? And I was like, oh, okay. And so when Jabbar Jalouk got hired, man, he just kept swinging the bat and swinging. Finally, it connected, and they started talking more. He came on a spring visit, then he came back for an OV, which got Texas square in the mix on this thing. And so I like where Texas sits with Landon Williams-Callis right now. They've done a tremendous job. The staff does a great job. If you get them on campus more than once, man, you're in trouble, and that's for any school that you're competing against Texas when it comes to recruiting. But Texas has done a great job. You pair him with Noah Roberts, I think you got 2 terrific running backs in this class. Jabbar Jalouk, hey man, he needs another vacation after this one if he lands Williams-Callis here. I guess he doesn't have an official date of commitment, but I know it's coming early July, so we'll see. It's the 7th now, so we'll see here soon, what he decides. But I like where Texas sits.
I'm not giving out any hints. I can do that right now. We're not going down that road. But I do want to add, we've reported for the last almost 3 weeks, Ishmael Kamara, the newest Texas commit on the offensive line, him and Landon Williams-Callis have connections. There are connections from East Texas, from coaching staffs, from A&M at Commerce, from Dangerfield, from Gilmer, from Mount Pleasant, from Pittsburgh. These guys all know each other. Landon Williams-Callis has family that is attached to Kamara. And so it's so cool that they've been talking behind the scenes. And so I'll tell you this, Landon Williams-Callis knew where Kamara was going before he announced it. I feel like Ish probably knows the same on the other side.
This from Craig Alford. Besides Royal, Sales, and RB are the other 4-star guys we're going for. There's some flip candidates. I know right now one of the main, I don't even want to say main uncommitted guys, but a prospect who's uncommitted that Texas recruited is Mekhi Allen. He never made it to his Texas official visit. And I think that was the top 3 there was South Carolina, Texas A&M, maybe one more.
Syracuse put a kink in that too for some reason.
Yeah, that'll be one I check in on just to tie that loose in. I think he's
because Texas is still checking.
Because I think he's got a decision date on July 11th. Other than that, they're going to track players who, even if they are 4-star guys, may rise through the ranks, may see, this era of recruiting is so volatile because what if somebody who's really good in this class doesn't get a number he wants, and that maybe, Texas sees that they can provide that number. So there's a lot of different things. I would keep an eye still on in-state players ranked within the top 200, just because you never know what could happen over the course of a season, especially if they're in-state or out-of-state. It could, things change rapidly. I'm sorry I don't have a name specifically to give you right now.
I've got a couple names.
All right, let's hear it.
Hey, they're going to still talk. They're still trying to get Joaquin Gouda. I mean, that's it's not just a really good sandwich at Starbucks. Like that guy is worth flipping. That is a kid to worth talking to. Jeremiah Culpepper out of Troup County. They're still going to see what they can do there if they can flip there. Sean Fox, they're still knocking on a door there. Listen, Texas they love the position. Obviously, they would like to be in a better spot with linebacker, but this is the least panicking staff I have ever seen. Like, they don't panic. They understand we'll just move this contingency, move to this plan, and move to this. Those guys I just named are some potential flip candidates. Mekhi Allen, they're still going to talk to him. Right now I think it's more of an A&M South Carolina battle. That's not going to take Texas out of it. And then we got to save a spot for the senior late eval, the senior late riser. There's always going to be one of those. And I feel like Texas is going to find one of those at the linebacker spot to finish this cycle.
Victor, Justin did answer your question. Yeah, there's a possibility, but at this point, that being the outcome 0 for 2 seems less likely than 1 for 2, or 2 for 2.
I think they would just go in with Thrower and Brown and go heavy in the portal probably in the next January or February. At the same time, if you get some clearance, if we get some decisions, a potential flip or a non-flip, or you get a sales or you don't get a sales within the next month. Jahide Brown, a Louisville commit that's been in contact with Texas. That's a kid. I think he won the MVP out at one of the rivals camps. That's a kid that Texas is going to be knocking on the door. There's some other. Alvin Mosley is a kid I think they could revisit. They had a really good relationship with him. He committed to Ole Miss, but if Texas waved him in, he would be a Horn today. And so the backup plan are still some of the familiar names, but I don't think it's a boom or bust type situation. I don't think they would mind going in with just Thrower and Brown. I do think they would try to flip someone else. And they'll have that answered, in my opinion, before they start the season. So we'll have the most clarity at receiver probably in August, September.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor. That is Rhoback. Was checking that out yesterday. Man, not just the shirts, which you can get just about anything, whether it's celebrating the United States, Texas Longhorns gear, golf gear, so many different things. But you also get some pants, not just joggers, not just athletic wear. There's some formal wear. They're not formal wear, but I'll say chinos and business casual stuff that they have. You can get that, sweatshirts, anything you need. Go to Rhoback.com, 20% for all new customers 20% off for all new customers if you use that code INSIDE20. Gentlemen,
hey Victor, we just answered that within our conversation about linebacker update. We call it the non-update update. We do know that they're still kicking tires on guys, but there's nothing worth noting as of today.
Portal is always there. Let's talk a little bit about some 2028s. Y'all both provided a very strong list of 5 apiece of 2028 prospects that you need to know. Charlie, you got the offense. Justin, you got the defense. You need to know about the number 1 overall prospect in the 2028 class. That's Bryson Wright from Jacksonville Mandarin. That's where Jamie French went. I think that's where Carson Beck went. I think that's where Florida's Tramel Jones went. So this is a talent hotbed when it comes to high school football in Florida. Everybody wants him, but Texas is already in a position to continue to contend throughout this recruitment, I think is the right way to say things.
Yeah, definitely. Good. Got in on him early. I love the fact when you get in on a kid out of state early, and he's number 1 guy for a reason. Look, I saw this guy at the OT7 7-on-7 tournament. He was absolutely destroying people. Like, who is this kid? I didn't know. I thought he was like a tight end, but he could move, right? He's
good.
Yeah, he is. But then I saw like the one-handed catch he made on like NFL Network. I was like, all right, I see why Chris Jackson and all of America wants this kid. The fact that Texas is in early, I think it might be a battle from Miami to Texas all the way through, whatever he decides to commit or sign in date for 2028, right? But it's a while to go in that one, but I love where Texas sits early because they got in early. Usually we hear about this kid like, why did we offer this kid? He's the number 1 guy, like Amon-Sean Sells, right? Texas didn't wait with this kid, and for good reason.
Everybody was in on this guy early. Everybody. This kid been catching the ball since 7th grade. That's been killing folks. Neiman Lawrence is the guy that's going to help Texas with this. If they can pull him out of the state of Florida, out of Miami's hands, Neiman Lawrence is going to be a big part.
Let's flip over to defense. We go from the number 1 prospect to the number 3 prospect. That's Kellen Hall. Justin, he's from Louisville, but he has visited Texas over the course of the spring, I believe.
I was going to question that. Remember, we reported we had heard that he had confirmed that he was coming in. I don't remember him ever actually taking that visit, and I actually went back through his visits, and there's not one for Austin. And I want to say he did.
He did.
Okay.
Cam showed up with him.
That's right. Okay, good. So that was the May 31st camp, elite camp, right?
Right.
Because we know we had got confirmation that he was coming, and we even got confirmation that he's going to attend the Texas-Ohio State game in September, remember?
Yep.
But I couldn't remember the date. I thought maybe he would come in for that April for one of the unofficial things in the spring, but no, it was that elite camp. Okay, good. We've got to update the database. I wanted to be sure on that, Joe, because we didn't have that in the database. But I knew he had come in, and now that Charlie reminds me about Cam, it all comes together. Yeah, Texas they're shooting their shot here, but I mean, it's just like Bryson Wright. They're going to shoot their shot with 50 other schools. Oklahoma's got an early RPM from our boy Steve Wiltfong, who does amazing work with On 3 and Rivals. Love him as a teammate. I think this one has a ways to go. I think he'll end up in the SEC, but I think this one's going to have a ways to go. But you know what, Texas, they're strong at D-line for the last 5 or 6 years in the program, really the last 10 if you think about it. And I think that's part of why Texas is going to get in the front, get their foot in the door with this kid.
I found the Coach Williams tweet, Cam Hall alongside his
picture of them together. Now I remember that. I remember that. I wish I knew he'd come in. I just couldn't remember if it was that spring practice or if it was one of those early camps. But he's already been on campus once, and remember, he told us he's coming back for the Texas-Ohio State game with a number of these guys that we're going to talk about.
Moving back to offense, we're heading to Duncanville. Kendrick Harris, 6'3", 310 from Duncanville, number 35 overall prospect. Seen a lot of players, a lot of schools go to Duncanville.
Guard.
But Charlie and I, you and I were talking, like, is he still growing? Not exactly sure, but he's 6'3", 310 and could be a pretty quality interior offensive lineman all the same.
Yeah. Look, people at Duncanville staff were telling me about this kid. It's at least been a year. Texas is one of the schools he wanted to hear from. He had a few offers out there, and then I guess he went to Texas, and I want to say in April. I'm not sure what the visit was.
It was April. He came in April and remember,
He got
you
the offer.
talked to the coach. You talked to one of the coaches when he came in.
That's right. He got the offer. I think they wanted to see him in person, see how big he is, right? Because a lot of people on film, you can't tell he's 6'3". But he checks out, he is 6'3". At the time, he wasn't ranked as high, but he started to get so much attention. People started coming in offering left and right. He got pretty much offers from everyone, which is why he got the ranking he has now. But if you look at his film, he's a dominant kid, another Duncanville tough, mentally tough kid, physically tough kid who gets after it. And so Texas is in early. This is an offer he always wanted. You hear this so many times with so many kids. They want the Texas offer. They grew up Texas fans. It doesn't hurt that you got Alex January, in Austin. You have Colin Simmons in Austin. All their families know each other, right? So it helps.
Right.
It kind of built in there. But I like where Texas sits early and for Harris recruitment. We'll see what happens, but it's a long way to go. A lot of new attention from a lot of new schools, but I like where Texas sits.
Moving on, go back to defense. This is a name even I'm familiar with because of the school. David Dotson from Humboldt, Atascocita, 6'6", 240 for 121 prospect. Justin, Jason Johnson. You got, I think, Trent Blaylock up there. It's a lot of talent on that Atascocita defense, but what's David Dotson bring as an edge, and where does Texas figure for him?
This dude is a man-child. This is the guy that when, you walk up to him, it's you're like, okay, is this a recruit or is this his father? Because he's just big, man. He's just big and strong. He doesn't say much, very confident. Kyle Coates, the new football coach over there at Atascocita, does a great job, has done a great job climbing up. He has some talent. And obviously Jason Johnson's there, the Texas commit to play alongside the D-line. And this is something I'll give to Charlie too. I don't think he's a traditional edge in the sense. I think he's going to be a defensive end. I think he's going to be more. I mean, this kid right now is what, 6? I can't read what that says, but I think he's
6'6", 240.
240. I think he's probably in the 250 range now, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. I can't remember what he had told us coming out of the camp, but just a big, strong, physical, athletic. When you walk first off the bus type kid, when you see him, it's pretty obvious and apparent. Gigantic hands, gigantic feet. He is going to be a terror for someone in college football in the next few years. And Texas is, you talk about getting in early. Texas got in pretty early with this guy, and Alan Clark is spearheading this recruitment.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of Texas flavor on this discussion. We're going to go back to the Houston area. We go back to the offensive line. Armani Edwards is the next guy up from Ramoni, excuse me, from Cy Ranch, number 55 overall prospect. Offensive tackle, great size, probably a little light right now, but you know what? If you're about to be a high school junior, no problem with that. Charlie, again, another name I'm familiar with, and Texas feels like they've put in some good work here.
Yeah, they have. Last time he visited Texas, he talked about how much he loved the visit. Like, Texas always puts on the show. They're well organized, the whole nine. But he loves being around Coach Kyle Flood and the rest of the staff. He enjoyed his time at Texas. And so, look, another offensive tackle or offensive lineman that Texas is in early on, right? And seems like a fan of Texas. You can never discount that. But a long way to go. He'll have plenty of suitors coming after him. Sometimes with so many offensive linemen, especially offensive tackles, you can't take them all, even though you would like to. So it depends, because I know we got a few more to talk about even on this list. But, man, Texas is in early and just kind of recruit them to the whistle.
Hey, my boy, Coach Blaylock, William Blaylock is his guy over there at Cy Ranch, and I'm telling you, man, he likes his kid a lot. And my dude, he can coach up O-linemen. So this might be the best tackle in state. If Jamarius Canton didn't move to IMG, I'd probably put him in the spot. But since he hightailed it from Center, Texas to Bradenton, Florida, Armoni is going to get that love.
Going back to defense, a linebacker. Maybe this is someone that Texas really puts the –
I almost felt like we needed to put one in there, and then I remembered, wait a minute, there's a stud 45 minutes down the road.
And I had to look this up. He was, if you see over here on the right side, originally from Choctawhatchee, which is in Florida. I probably butchered that. Moves over to San Antonio, goes to Harlan High School, number 128 overall prospect. Again, linebacker. And this is not a talent factory school. I think they're on the north side of San Antonio, but it is close to home, and I'm going to guess there's some military involved here if he's going from Fort Walton Beach to San Antonio. Justin, all the same, now he's a in-state prospect for the Longhorns.
He was one of the guys that when we see the early kids, like in this case would be the 28s and the 29s, there are some we're unfamiliar with. And he's one that when he walks up, you instantly think, okay, there's some kids walk up, it's going to be a project, or I don't know if that's an offer just yet. He walks up and it's like, yeah, he'll get offered today. He looks fantastic. Like we're talking 2 or 3% body fat, athletic, just really ripped up. I think he could be a traditional inside backer, which is so hard to find these days. He's moldable clay. He's smart, and like you said, Joe, he's well rounded. He's had to move quite a bit. Doesn't say much. Very quiet. Holds some really nice offers. And again, I think he's just under the radar. He's a 91.37. So I know that sounds silly saying under the radar, but in the scope of the top 10, top 20 programs, we just don't mention this kid very much. LSU loves him. Ole Miss loves him. I think Arkansas's in it. Oregon's been in contact. Like, this kid is somebody you got to watch. And for the way Texas, I also wanted to factor it in because of the way Texas linebacker recruiting is going. I think in 2028, this is a kid that they could jump in early and at least have your floor for the linebacker class in the next cycle.
We mentioned him already. We got to bring him up. We got to go to IMG Academy. This may be a big underranking. A number 83 overall.
Yes.
Rivals has him at 135. But Jamarius Canton from Center, Texas, athleticism and size, Charlie, that's pretty tough to replicate.
Definitely. Look, I said it in an article. He could be an All-American defensive lineman and offensive lineman. Like, there's nothing he can't do. I don't know if everybody saw the film of him like windmill dunking over some poor kid. Like, this kid is just different. Yeah. Probably 10 better offensive tackles than him, or I guess 82 national players nationally than him. Because I don't see it, but man, phenomenal kid. Like Justin said. He went to Bradenton, Florida, to IMG. But I love this kid. Look, he loves Texas a lot. He'll be back. It's another one that said he'll probably be back for the Texas-Ohio State game. Enjoys visiting Texas. He's there with his coach, Coach Kyle Parks. I want to say his name.
Kyle Parks does a great job for the center recruit. For those kids at center, Parks does an amazing job.
He doesn't. So, I got a chance to catch up with him in the parking lot after they were leaving, how much, they're one of the last ones to leave. Like, they just want to stay and take it in and talk to Coach Flood and some more and the other guys on campus. And so he loved his visit. He can't wait to come back. But Texas is in a good spot. I just know if he play offensive line or does he play defensive line, or do you let him play both? Because he's phenomenal talent on either side of the football.
I think you have to keep him at tackle right now. I think he's an offensive tackle right now. I really do. And I think the basketball – that there's a thing, like, he was probably a better basketball player 2 years ago than he's a football player today. And so and we've seen that a lot, with these athletes. So I think right now offensive tackle is probably, and look, he's that moldable clay. He doesn't own an ounce of fat, Charlie. No. This kid is cut. Like he definitely, I think should stay on the offensive line. But I'll say this, just you let him play where he wants to play, just as long as he'll sign.
Justin, you and I have talked about this next guy plenty up in Lancaster. That is James Foster, number 26 overall prospect. One of the most talented defensive backs in the state of Texas and the country.
JF the third. Okay, I did mention this, and I'll give everyone a little taste. If I was going to put in an RPM today, if I was feeling RPM-ish, Charlie and I sometimes we feel RPM-ish. I'd put one in for Texas. I think James Foster III and the Horns match up perfectly. I love this, and give Chris Gilbert a ton of credit. He's been the stability with this recruitment, just because of his proximity, familiarity with Lancaster, familiarity with all these kids and their families. But Blake Gideon's recruiting this kid. You think Blake's going to lose this kid? I don't. I know he won't. This kid is fantastic. Cody Belair wrote up some stuff about him. He went up to the opening a couple weeks ago when they did that up at Nike, and he was one of the top performers every day. This kid tracks, smacks, and brings it all back. Like, I love JF the third, and I can't. I think he prototypes to Texas. It's Texas versus the field. I'd be shocked if there's anybody else.
We got to go to another. Is he an NFL legacy? I feel like we've talked about that, but I'm not sure.
That's a good question. Let me double check.
Or a college football legacy. I know the next guy is. I know he's not a Sharpstown legacy. He's out at Shadow Creek, though. That is Jalen Adai, son of Colts running back Joseph Adai, son of LSU running back Joseph Adai. 6 foot, 167, number one player in the state of Texas. Shadow Creek, always staying talented. And, Coach, I think you had mentioned, and Justin, even you've mentioned it as well, this one isn't like a shoe-in, shut it down. He's going to LSU recruitment.
No, I think he's already visited Notre Dame and Ohio State earlier. I think this is a national recruitment. It's going to be hard. I know he's, being from Houston, look, Texas is going to definitely be in the mix on this because he's from the state. You don't let somebody like this, that high ranking, lead the state if you can help it, right? You just got Chris Stewart a year ago. Now you got commit and Brandon Sherrard also from the same school. So you got some tie-ins there, right, to Shadow Creek. But national recruitment, man, this is going to be hard. Depends. Does he want to go far away from mom and dad? Or are they open, right? Dad left, right? Went to LSU, even though it's not that far from the Houston area. Do they let this kid make his own way and say, hey, go out and spread your wings? Or do you want to stay in state? And if you do, man, you look at Texas doing with receivers right now, right? You can be the next in the 2028 class. And so, look, give Chris Jackson some time to get in on this one like he does with every other guy. If he identifies as a guy, he'll go in on him. I think Chris Jackson does a great job in recruiting. We'll see what happens with this one, but definitely going to be a tough battle because you got to battle everybody in the nation.
When I talked to his dad at one of the camps a couple of months ago, the biggest takeaway was this is not an NIL recruitment. This is going to be a relationship developmental base. This kid's going to go wherever he feels the most love. It's not going to have anything to do with NIL, and I love that. That makes it a level field. That means you got to recruit them honest.
I just looked up Joseph Adai, and he would have signed with LSU when Nick Saban was there. And so that tells me, relationships.
And he was a quarterback.
Yeah. And, I remembered him being on that national title team. I'm like, okay, so there are a lot of Houston area prospects and football players who, in the later, kind of think of the
Houston areas and LSU's ground.
Right. Like think of DJ Augustin. I know that's basketball, but like somebody from New Orleans who moved to Houston and then, stayed there, still has LSU affiliation, has children, still have LSU affinity. But Joseph Adai was not that. Nick Saban just had a relationship and made the most of it. He was a 2001 class. So what? Cedric was the class after that, or was that Cedric's class? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would have been Cedric Benson's class. So maybe trying to do a little math about who went where and why.
Yeah, because Cedric was a true freshman in the 2001 game. Yeah.
Sure. But, Nick Saban coming to Houston, getting Joseph Adai. Nick Saban's not coaching. Man, that would be something. But that just kind of speaks, I think, to what y'all are talking about, relationships. And, whoever shows him the right path is going to be involved. And you see Notre Dame and Ohio State on that screen. Those are two programs pretty darn good at doing that. Last but not least, I messed it up. But it is Isaiah Taylor from Keller Central, 6'2", 160, number 159 overall prospect. Keller Central, that's not a particularly old school, is it? Or am I mixing that up with something else?
No.
No, I think that's one of the newer ones in Keller that they've added on, actually.
Isaiah Taylor, Justin, I think you had him down as an athlete.
Yeah.
You did the defensive part of this article, so you're putting him on defense, it looks like.
I'm putting him on defense because I think that's where he thrives. Look, he plays running back, he plays receiver, he plays nickel, he plays corner, and he can play safety. In the real world, you're a corner until you're a safety. I think that's where he projects, but he's so good as an athlete. There's some Jermaine Bishop here. Just build out the relationship, figure out where he's going to play, figure that out later. This kid right now is so exciting. I think the key to him is going to be his twin brother. If you offer his twin brother, I think that's going to put you in the pole position. I think that's going to be part of the recruitment as well. Jeremiah Taylor, who's also a recruit that's going to be a take. And so, I had to put Taylor in here. This kid's exciting. This is the kind of kid that makes Texas fans excited. And so he has been destroying camps this spring, and then he goes out in 7-on-7 and absolutely dominates. And so, I'll be making a trip to Keller Central pretty soon because we need to get to know these kids, these twins, pretty well.
Last but not least, as we get 30 minutes in, thank everybody for watching. Any 2028 targets that might be thinking about reclassifying? I feel like with NIL, you're like, okay, I want to get to school earlier to start making that money. But then I also am like, if you've got 5 to play 5, you shouldn't be any rush to reclassify unless you're 19 before your senior year.
Exactly. I'm already seeing parents talking about, hey, there's no reason to reclassify now. There's a point with the 5 for 5. So I don't think you see it as much because you don't need to.
But also, there's still an argument for the urgency of the money, because you still get it a year early. In theory,
yeah, but if you're not 18,
it'd be like going to the NFL. You'd get your rookie contract started a year early. So essentially, I think reclassification is still going to be a conversation. And I think that's because people are going to they don't want to wait 12 months for the cash. Now, most of the recruitments aren't going to be like that, and they're damn sure not going to be like that visibly. But under the surface, some of these parents are not going to want to wait to get paid. And we have already seen that with a handful of recruits that have gone through this reclassifications. So I'm with Charlie. I think they're trying to eliminate it and make it where 5 to 5, where it's not such a necessity. I don't think we're going to see a push like we have been seeing in the previous couple of years. Like, hey, get it while it's in it, because it's not sustainable. Get in it right now. That's kind of the rush. I don't see the urgency anymore. But every year, Charlie and I are on the road and we hear about kids that may be reclassifying or may be doing this or that. And so we're always paying attention to that. But I'm with Charlie. I don't think we're going to see it as much anymore.
I think just because of the nature of football, even if you are 16 and Ryan Coleman Williams, and you're super gifted, like that is an outlier.
Yeah.
Whereas for the most part, like you need to grow up to be able to last in a college football program. Maybe you can do it in basketball. Maybe you can do it in baseball. I have no clue about maybe some of the other women's sports, but like it helps to be a grown man when you're playing a grown man's game. And if you have an extra year of redshirt ability, an extra year of eligibility to where you have a full extra year without having to worry about playing 4 games to get paid, whatever a program can pay you. And it's not you still will have that capability, and boom, maybe you're a 5th-year senior and you blow up into a superstar and get that 7th round, 5th round level paycheck. Like,
right.
I just don't think, unless you're a 5-star type guy, unless you're Richard Wesley, like it takes guys like that, special players like that, for it to make sense. Whereas for the rank and file, I don't think you'll see it all.
Every class is going to have a few of those, Joe.
Right. Yeah.
Every class. And listen, it's not about the money with those guys. Listen to me. Richard Wesley is insanely intelligent, incredibly mature. Yeah. I'm 49. I'm not near as mature as that 17-year-old. Let's just be honest with each other. That kid goes to work every day at Texas like it's his job. So some of these kids are already programmed with that mental stability. And it's like, you know what? Jordan Johnson-Rebel, that's another one that's built like that. They're just programmed differently. And so I think we're always going to have a few of those. And you want those guys, Joe. It's not a rush that they're getting to college. It's a rush to get them in your program.
Yeah, without a doubt. Speaking of a program you should get into, head to Inside Texas. Use that first link in our description, or use that QR code at the top left of the screen. Join for $1, then get 50% off your first year. 2027 recruiting, 2028 recruiting, all the best intel on all that at Inside Texas. Football coming around the corner. I saw Joey said something else today, so I'm going to have to check out that.
Oh, please tell me.
Hey, guess who wants to play Texas tomorrow? Oh, man.
God.
The algorithm may get fed. So, but honestly,
I seen Yormark. He was snapping at some people.
I like Yormark, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.